So. I'm now calling this meeting to order. I'd ask for the call of the meeting and roll call.
A special session is being held on Thursday, December 19, 2013, at 6 o'clock p.m. and is a special session regarding the BPU proposed $250 million capital improvement plan. A new item has also been added. That's the request approval to proceed with the sale of BPU-owned property located at 1211 and 1212 North 8th Street. Roll call. Walker. Here. Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Mugia. Here. Maddox.
Here.
Kane. Here. Markley. Here. Walters. Philbrook.
Here.
Holland.
Here. Thank you very much. That brings our meeting to order. We have a second meeting at 7 o'clock. And so we will, after this meeting is over, we will adjourn and we will recess until 7 o'clock and begin that meeting on time. Due to state law, we're not able to start that meeting early, though in the unlikely event that this goes long, we can start it late. That's not an invitation, that's just an observation. But I do want to go ahead. It is our tradition to offer a prayer and a pledge of allegiance before our meetings, and I think we should do that for tonight. And I don't see any other preachers in the room, so I will pray. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you for this day that you have made. As we prepare for the holiday seasons, let us all be mindful of the things that are most important, gathering with family, gathering together with the family of faith, and serving others. We ask that as we carry out this meeting and those meetings that we have tonight, that you will keep us mindful of those foundational issues that drive our city forward and are the hope for all of humanity. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have two issues before us. We have one issue on an approval of bonds for refitting the Nearman plant, a project that we have heard about repeatedly. Do we have the slides to show when the meetings were? Thank you. On September 12th, we had a joint meeting of the UGBPU to review the proposal. November 12th, the Economic Development Standing Committee heard it. December, that can't be right. November 12th, that's right. November 12th was Economic Development Standing Committee, and then December 12th, well, they're all on the 12th, I think. Was that intentional? We're having the 12th. December 12th, we had a joint meeting that was just last Thursday of BPU and UG, a presentation to set a public hearing. And today, December 18th, we're having our final public hearing and a vote on the issue before us. We also have, at the conclusion of that item, we have one other item on a property sale that has been blue sheeted and was submitted to the commissioners yesterday. That is BPU property. So we're going to move now into the discussion. If there is any, does anyone in attendance today have any intention of making comment about the sale of the bonds for BPU? Does the board, Mr. Alvey, would you like to make an opening statement? Or we can just open it up. It's entirely up to you.
Once again, thank you for your time and effort on this. You know, as we've looked at this several times, we have tried to find what is the most affordable and most reliable option for the Board of Public Utilities to continue to provide reliable and affordable power to this community. And the best option is the retrofit, the installation of air quality control equipment on our Nearman plant, which will continue to allow us to utilize coal in our fuel mix give us a diversity of sources, a low price, and over the long term, it is the least expensive option. So that's really it in a nutshell.
All right. Is there anyone who would like to, I do want to recognize the members of the Board of Public Utility who are in attendance tonight. Thank you all for being here. I also understand Representative Burrows is here. Yes, sir. Welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make comment tonight? Let the record show I see no one
Move for
moving forward.
approval.
All right, it has been moved and seconded for approval. I would ask the clerk, would you please read the resolution that is before us? Or at least read the introduction to the resolution.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of utility system revenue bonds of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, for the purpose of providing funds to finance improvements to the utility system.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Murguia.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. I first would like to thank the BPU for the multiple times now that they've given their presentation. It was very thorough, and I really appreciated the information. Also like to thank our staff for all the work with the BPU on this issue. You guys did a great job. That's fantastic. And also, I noticed that Tom Lynch is in the crowd, and Tom came and met with me several times about this particular issue, and I really appreciate his expertise and his guidance on this particular topic. So thank you very much, Tom. I do have a couple of comments I'd like to make for the record before this vote goes through. And I was at the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee, and I was one of the people that voted no on this proposal when it came in front of our Economic Development Committee. But apparently there's been some misunderstanding about why that vote was no. And I just want to set the record straight and have it be documented. I asked simply one question of the BPU when they came and presented that. I just found it odd that there was only one entity, one business, that had bid on the job and been awarded the work. It was my request that they seek another bid to make sure that we were getting the very best possible deal for our $250 million EPA mandated regulation that we had to meet. I'm disappointed that that second bid hasn't happened. I'm even more disappointed that I received multiple phone calls after that meeting where people that worked at the Nearman plant contacted me and told me that they had heard I was going to force them to lose their job by my no vote because the plant would close without meeting the regulations. I'm very disappointed by that, because anyone that attended that meeting or took the time to read the notes would realize that wasn't my objection at all. So I just wanted to set the record straight, and with that, I am definitely in favor of compliance. I'm also in the future in favor of procurement and multiple bids to make sure we get the best buy for our tax dollars. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Walker.
Well, I would echo your words of thanks to the people that contributed to this and the board. And Mr. Gray, he's answered a great many questions that when we looked at it the first time, we just did not have. For me, it's always difficult to spend this kind of money, realizing that ultimately we all in this community are going to be paying it back. And so to have taken it too lightly by anybody would have been a mistake. Mr. Gray, could you come to the podium, please, for a moment? I have one question of you, and I do this just because I want this on the record that we are all aware. Late today, after finding this particular website, discovered that there may be the potential for grant funding for part of this project through the federal government, and that there have been other utilities that have had at least a portion of their expenses. It's very difficult to tell from the federal website what percentage or what amount, but I sent it to you and we talked, and you indicated that you and your staff would look into this, and of course any grant funding that we might be able to obtain would reduce the amount of bond issuance ultimately that we'll have to issue over this 3-year period. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Well, I am a strong believer in maintaining the local utility and keeping it in Wyandotte County. If you look back historically, like I feel like I'm sorry to admit that I can now, having been associated with it since 1979. This has been a great place for jobs for people in our community. It's one employer that draws the young people back into the Wyandotte County area. I want it to have a long life, and if there's anybody to blame, and it's easy to do, I blame the federal government. I want a clean environment, but they pass these mandates and then just expect everybody to absorb the hit, and you know, to a lesser degree, that's the way it works in our country, both at the state, federal level. They're big on passing law, but they're not big on providing money to help the local people do it. And so we have to raise taxes, or we have to raise fees, or board has to raise rates. So I will be supporting this tonight and voting in favor of it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Kane.
One of the things I think most people don't realize is how serious the votes are and how serious that we take these votes. And as we look around, because you don't want to make a decision with just this much information. You have to gather all the information. And that's what you've shared with us, Mr. Gray. And to the board, I cannot thank you enough and imagine what you went through when you first saw this. You know, this thing is huge. I mean, you got your state representative Burrows is here, the minority leader in the House, checking to see what's going on. Not just people in Kansas City want to know what's going on, but people in Topeka want to know what's going on. But something else that hasn't been said yet, to show us the support of the employees that work there. A lot of times you'll go somewhere and you'll see management on this side or union on that side and nobody agreeing to anything. And to me, it's outstanding to see the workforce here and supporting their board and their staff. And those are huge things. And I've always told everybody the reason that General Motors plant is open is because we have the Midwestern mentality. We're not afraid to work. And BPU's the exact same way. They hire outstanding people. Most of them are local. All of them are dedicated. And I appreciate what you've done for us.
All right, I don't see any more commissioners wishing to speak. I believe we have a motion and a second on the floor. We are now ready to vote. Roll call.
Roll call. Walker.
Yes.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Mugia.
Aye.
Maddox.
Aye.
Kane. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
That motion carries. The vote is 9-0.
All right, thank you. We now have one other item for the Board of Public Utilities. We have a blue sheet on a property sale. I would ask our Chief Counsel to please explain to us why this is coming before us tonight, and then if we have any questions, we can direct those to Mr. Gray.
In the blue sheet, there is a memorandum from Don Gray to Dennis Hayes requesting that this offer that they've received for property owned by the unified government for the use of the Board of Public Utilities be sold. And there's an accompanying resolution which would approve the sale if you adopt that. The charter ordinance that establishes the BPU does say that the Board of Public Utilities is empowered to sell its property with the consent of the governing board of the unified government.
And Administrator Hayes, is it your belief that the Don Gray would like to have this sold?
Yes, sir. That came in communication earlier this week. They have conducted an appraisal of the property. The offer is within tolerance of that appraisal, and the general manager and the county administrator are recommending approval of this sale.
All right.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, once the property is sold, where does the finances go, and then what would it be used for after?
Who gets the money from the $900,000 sale? Council?
Wrong
Sorry.
button. The Board of Public Utilities paid for the construction of this building, and they have paid to maintain it and to operate it all these years. I believe the proceeds go to the Board of Public Utilities.
Okay, I think the motion should state that the proceeds would go to the Board of Public Utilities, so there's no question. Does the maker of the motion agree to that? Does the second? Yes. Okay, we have a motion, a second, an excellent question. We just don't want $1 million laying out there in the street. So we appreciate that clarification. Well, that's right. If the Board of Public Utilities finds no use for that money, please come back to our next meeting and we will help with that. All right, we are ready to vote. Roll call.
Roll call, Walker,
Yes.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Mugia,
Aye.
Maddox,
Aye.
Kane, Markley,
Aye.
Walters, Philbrook.
Aye.
The motion carries. The vote is 9-0.
All right, I want to thank everyone for coming out today, and again, thanks to the Board of Public Utilities for all of your great work on this. I'm afraid your work has just begun. We are adjourned until 7 o'clock.